All right, welcome everybody to episode 86 of Embrace the Suck. Um, this is episode like 3, I think, since I've been back on recruiting duty as a rec aide. I like saying that. I say that every time. Every time I say something to anybody, I'm just like, hey, it's just a rec aide talking. I'm nobody more than that. But hey, man, it feels, I'll be honest, man. It feels I don't know if I just love to hate it, but it feels amazing to be back on the grind. But I'm excited to have our guest with us because I'm pretty sure I've been talking with him for like 2 years about coming on. So finally we have him here with us. So Ryan, please introduce yourself for everybody who doesn't already know you, and then we'll kick it from there.
Okay, so I'm Ryan. Um, I've been in the Marine Corps for just under 10 years now. I'm an infantryman by trade, machine gunner. Did about 7 years in the fleet, 4 deployments. It's pretty standard stuff of a fleet dude. Everybody gets that whole hiss thing, right? It happens. It happens to everybody, man. And when I first saw it, I was like, I might not stick around for the long haul. But I had a conversation with one of my platoon sergeants at the time. He's a great dude. I think he's a first sergeant now. Great guy. He was like, listen, man, like you have a couple different options. Like you can either take the L and pop smoke and get out of the Marine Corps, or you can take it, make it for what it's worth, and then kind of really go from there. And I looked at him as a very good example
Hmm.
what right looks like, not just like as an infantryman, not even just as a Marine, like as a grown man.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that really kind of stuck with me here. And I was like, you know what, old dude's right. Salt dog, Iraq, Afghan, just overall great dude. And I pulled the trigger. I was like, you know what, we're gonna run with it, and we did. We went to BRC in February of 2021, right after Valentine's Day. Did the quarantine thing, picked up, and then didn't put in a buy name. Just kind of see what sticks, and got Jersey. I'm a New Yorker by trade, so I mean, I was like, oh, this ain't bad. You know what I mean? It's right up. It's literally right up the road. And,
Yeah.
got into Jersey in April of 2021, and been here ever since, man. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Bro, I love how you started off with the hiss because normally that's how I start off, but I love that you as the guest brought it up. But I love, and it's something that I always find myself talking about because, as a reservist, I never got hissed, so I voluntarily did this twice. So my thing when people bring up the hist is that I liked the story that you're telling us because a lot of people they have the other flip of the coin. They get histed and immediately everyone's like, oh, bah, and it's like you start hearing these horrible horror stories about being histed and about the duty. But now you have, the salt dog, if you will, who's telling you like it is what it is. It's going to make or break you. It is going to help you in your career. And that's the thing that I love about the Marine Corps is those people.
Yeah.
Because like the thing that pisses me off more than anything is people that allow recruiting duty to ruin their entire career and kick them out of the Marine Corps. Like and it bothers me because like there's phenomenal Marines that when they get histed are like, you know what, bro, I'm out. And it's like, dude, like you've done all of this up until this point just to get defeated by a duty. Like it's not even a human being. It's not even a thing. It's just this thing that people like to make into something huge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a shame too, because it's funny you say that. Like, one of my very best friends, like we went to boot camp together, we went to infantry training battalion together, we hit the fleet together, and he and I were very alike, and we maintained contact through our whole time in the Marine Corps. When that thing happened, when that list came out, like my dude fucking got off the X quick. He was just like, I am fucking good. Red Star cluster, I'm gone. And I was like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Dude, and it just sucks.
You know,
Yeah, and it just sucks because like you You know, like, you don't know what it could have been for you. Like, you don't know where you could have gone. You don't know what it could have helped you because, like, is recruiting duty horrible? I could say so, right? I could concur. But it also the things that it teaches you to multitask, to adapt, to overcome, like the things that you're taught as a recruiter are going to develop you in every facet of life, whether it's fatherhood, whether it's being married, whether it's whatever the hell you can think of, recruiting duty is going to put that time management piece in there. But one thing I definitely want to talk about because you are, you know, an infantryman, I'm gonna go ahead and say this because I think it's true. I've never met somebody who was an O3 who wasn't good at recruiting. Like, it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah,
I haven't met the one. Every single O3 that I've met to come out here on recruiting duty has always been freaking top notch.
yeah.
And, like, what and do you think there's anything that correlates it to it? Like, do you think that, like, there's any specific thing that makes it like that?
Yeah. So, and it's funny you bring that up because I was talking to another one of my friends, infantry dude. This guy's literally my best friend, and he's actually coming onto recruiting duty. Like he's about to graduate the schoolhouse. We were in 1-6 together. Great dude. Older guy too. He's 37. Just a legitimately great Marine, great father, great husband, everything. And he was he even said he was like a lot of the guys that he's interacted with up to this point, even friends like another RSs, RSSs, everything like that. I think the common denominator between these two communities is suffering. And
Mm,
I know that's going to sound a little aggressive, but
yeah, yeah,
and this is not to take away from, you know, any other part of the Marine Corps, because I mean, you as a Marine as a whole, like that speaks, right?
yeah.
The Marine Corps. The one thing though about the two communities though is suffering. In the infantry, you are beat up physically, you're beat up mentally, um, sleep deprivation, doing hard things, thinking outside of the box. I think that's one of the biggest ones too, is thinking critically and being able to overcome adversity is the one thing that really kind of ties the two communities together. While on this side of the house, you know, you have your standard stuff, right? You know, if you writing contracts, you know, finding appointments, prospecting, everything like that. But the one thing though is if you can become a critical thinker in this environment, um, you will win. In my personal opinion, right? Some people would disagree with me, and you know that's fine. Like
Yeah.
I'm not here to throw jabs or whatever the case may be. But if you can think critically and you can overcome tough times, overcome tough months, you know, everybody hits dry spells on this job.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna happen. Um, and I think that's really the biggest thing is suffering, adversity, critical thinking.
Mhm.
And even now, like the stuff from both communities, I've taken a lot from both, and I've really kind of molded who I am, not even just as a Marine, just like even as a man, like the way I communicate, the way I talk to people. I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I would definitely say there is definitely some correlation.
Yeah, definitely that shared suffering. And that's the thing about it, right? Is that one of the things that we spoke about, and that kind of ties right into it, right? Is the positive mental attitude. Because for me, if you come into the day already defeated, then the day's done. Like, no matter what happens, like, you could have OT, which doesn't exist, but, like, you could have somebody walk into the office ready to go, and your piss poor attitude changes that person, and now they're like, "Wait a minute, what's going on?" And it bleeds into everything. It bleeds into the contact, it bleeds into the appointment, it bleeds into the interview, it bleeds into the C2C chain. And when people don't understand the reason why you have a C2C chain that is 40 days, 45 days, 50 days is because we're one lacking on critical thinking where we're not doing like, okay, I know this is going to take this many days because of this. How do I cut it down? And some people aren't thinking like that. And they're not like, you know, oh, this kid committed. All right, hey, the next follow up, I'm going to follow up with you in a day or 2 days or a week. I'm like, no, 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 no. Hey, dog, you're gonna go if it's not too late. in today, you're going home and getting vitals and coming back right now. Or, hey, I'm giving you 24 hours, right? And it's because, like, so some people say that I'm way too aggressive. That's what I've been told, that I'm too aggressive with my approach. Now, what I understand is that when I'm too aggressive, I will explain why I'm so aggressive. So, like, when people are, because I'm trying to tighten up that C2C chain, when I see that uneasiness on the kid's face, the parent's face, immediately I'm like, listen, the only reason why I'm trying to do it like this is because of the new medical process.
Yeah.
This can take us, we don't know what's behind door number 1. We don't know what's behind door number 2. This could take us 9 months and we have no idea.
It's funny you bring that up too, because even if you, I'm not trying to throw personal things out there. Like I had a COVID test, straight up, literally went to a urgent care and got a COVID test, and nobody thinks anything of it. Kids opened. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, think about it. Like, I agree, and I understand.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it, right? Is I think that, and this isn't, again, this is not towards one person or anybody. It's just a general statement. I think a lot of what's happening in today's Marine Corps is that a lot of people have this lackadaisical attitude of, oh, it'll happen. Oh, yeah, it's going to happen. It's like, no, like, if you're not critical thinking and if you're not thinking about, what's going to happen next, or, hey, what are some potential things that could come up, and it's even just like, even when you're setting the appointment, right? Like, you have people who are quick to say, oh, as soon as they say yes, they're like, all right, word, I'll see you tomorrow. And then that's it. And you're not like, hold on a minute, hey, ask him, is there anything that could come up? Hey, ask him, is there anything that would stop you from coming in the office? Like, you got to start asking these other questions. And this all comes from learning, right? But I think a lot of times, because of that lack of positive mental attitude, you're not thinking of all these other things because, quite frankly, you don't care. And I think that's a huge part of it. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So I agree. There's definitely a couple things though, right? So in this line of work, and really anything you do, if you don't have a key, I guess if you say you keen eye and just clean observation skills, and really just the way that you kind of go about things and have a clear head, because especially in this realm, this dude is very mental. It's very mentally taxing. This is where if you do it long enough and you see a lot of things, you get exposed to new things. It's gonna go in the file folder up here, and it's something that you'll be able to react to effectively. You'll be able to know how to navigate through solutions, and that's the one thing though that really sucks though. At the same time, on the flip side, because you have a volume 1, you have a volume 3, you have an EPM. Cool story, man. You know what I mean? Like this comes through trial and error.
Yeah.
And like, you have doctrine in place to help give you the straight line, direction. But at the same time, there's so many things that you don't know what's going to happen
until it happens.
Exactly. And that's where the learning occurs.
Yeah.
And the thing that really, I think it kills a lot of people, because it used to make me, my skin crawl, man, is like, there's always some new, part of my language, there's always some new small little fucking thing, you know what I mean, that could make you better or your team better, but nobody knows about it. You know what I mean? Like, we've always encountered that. It's like, oh, this is now in effect, like, phenomenal. I wish I fucking.
Well, and that's why I love doing this podcast, because I have people that reach out that are like, dude, I didn't even think about that. And they're like, and someone across the freaking world is like, oh, well, we've been doing this forever. And that's something that, like, I don't know if it's done in RS New Jersey. I just got back, but like, that's something that, like, I know that when I was here years ago, a huge thing that never really happened was recruiters sitting in a room talking about what they were dealing with every day.
Mm-hmm.
Because what Northwest is dealing with right now, it might just not be a trend where we are, but in 6 months, it might make its way over here. And now, if we're not privy to that or ready for that, then we kind of get this shit under the stick. But if someone was like, hey, you know what? Recently, I've been dealing with this, and this is how I've gotten through it. Oh, shit, bro, I didn't even think about that. I've been dealing with the same thing. And it's like, there's so many different ways to do this job. And I think people get it misconstrued. Like, I'm not saying that my way is the best way. I'm not saying that, because not everybody can be as aggressive as me. Because if you try to be that aggressive and that's not who you are in nature, then it's just not going
Look
to
like
work for you.
you legitimately will look like an a-hole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I just wear it well, I guess. I don't know. But, one of the other things too, though, and is when it comes to the positive mental attitude, right? I think a huge effect of that is going to be the station commander, because when you come into an office, right, and you're doing your in briefs and you're doing your out briefs or your mid briefs, I think a lot of times there's people who they they just kind of go ham, and they can very easily take a Marine who just walked in at 08 and who was in their car and they got ready for the day and they sat there and they did whatever they did, and now they walk into the office ready to attack the day, and they sit down at the end brief and all of a sudden it's all gone, and now that Marine's defeated. Now that so like as a station commander, someone who's in the role right now, what advice do you have for that? Like when it comes to your morning in brief, like when you're talking to your guys about their goals for that day?
Dog. Dude. So I'm gonna do one of these real quick. That thing at first that I struggled with doing. I straight up I was a fucking douche at like my first 90 days, because you're not used to the stress, the constant phone calls, the check-in, the pressure up, the pressure down, the pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, man. But as time went on, and the big thing that I remembered was that I used to have some of those conversations as a recruiter. Like I used
Mhm.
to again, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I legitimately woke up one day. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stop being a prick. I'm straight up, man. Like, and I think a lot of people forget that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I can definitely say now, that I definitely think I've tightened up 100%. And I'm always trying to, do what's best for me and the team and the dudes around me and everything like that. But one of the biggest things though is when you wake up in the morning and you shower, shave, do all that good stuff, and you go to work, um, you're already in a tough environment. You're in a very kinetic environment. I'm going to be honest with you, like this right now, I would honestly say is one of the most friction-based environments that we can be in. Some people would disagree with me, and that's fine. But this is a hard place. This is not easy by any means. And when you walk through that door in the morning, you print out the day in sight. You do everything. You do your little T chart, and you do whatever it is that you guys have in the morning, whatever your morning looks like, and you sit down and you do that individual in brief, or even a morning meeting, whatever the case may be. You set the tone. You really do. You have the ability to make or break someone's day, and I learned that, and I'll never do it again. Period. I don't care how bad the day goes, short of killing a human being. Like, I'm not going to ruin your day.
Yeah.
We're all in this together, and nobody. The problem on this duty is people get into the mindset of it's just me versus everybody else.
Bro, I love that you say that.
And that's a problem, right? Because
Mhm.
that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
Is if I'm a 1 in 4, like currently, if I'm a 1 in 4, there's 5 total of us. It's not me versus them. We're all working together. We all have to work as a team. And one thing too that I think really will make the environment better, and this is something that I think we can all take and just get better, is get off your fucking ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, help them out where you can. Uh,
Yeah.
Going through a package with the dude, screening a dude out for him, talking to a parent. Kid comes in with his parent. Recruiter's rolling on the kid doing his thing. You're talking to that parent. Doing a maps front, doing whatever the case may be, like doing
Yeah.
to help them. Because once you do that and you prove that you're willing to get your hands dirty, it really takes down all the barriers. Those conversations get a lot easier between the station commander and the recruiters, and also as well too, they know that you have their best interest. And
Yeah.
once you have that, I'd say you have that relationship, like, because it's a battery, man. It's like a pitcher and a catcher. Once you have that battery established, y'all are gonna do some good shit.
Bro, it's so
No matter where you go, it doesn't
yeah.
matter either. And I can honestly say that because I've been more than one station now. You put out for them.
Yeah. Bro, 100% of the time, man. And it's true because there's, and I can attest to that. And like you said, you were a douche at one point, and now that I'm on the other end again, and I'm a rec aide, and I'm looking at it from this position, I'm starting to remember myself as a station commander, and I'm like, bro, you know what? I kind of got like a little rude. I kind of became a prick, and I'm glad that I was able to come back to this level because now I can, formulate myself and I can look at, hey, I have another chance at eventually becoming a station commander. But I love what you're saying because it's true. If you're in an office, and this is just my opinion, I have a lot of people who don't agree with me. A lot of people that say no, that's not my job. With me, I agree with what you said. As a station commander, like you wear many hats. But for me, a big part of it is getting out there with your guys and not being an armchair quarterback. Because when you're out there with your Marines and you're training them and you're showing them, like, hey, this is what I expect out of an AC contact. This is what I expect out of a TC. This is what I expect an interview to look like. Now these Marines are understanding, okay, this is the quality that he's looking for in all of these things. And if you don't give me this quality, there's going to be a problem. But the problem is there's a lot of station commanders who don't even know how to do that. And they're expecting one thing, but they're not getting it, and they don't even know how to do it themselves. And a huge part of it, like you said, is getting this team on board is if those Marines in that office don't feel like, because people call it the buy-in, but I hate that word. The buy-in's fake to me. The reality of it is that if those Marines don't feel like you have their best interest in mind, then they're coming to work just to come to work. But if those Marines legitimately know that like you would die on a hill for them, and that you're there with them and you're training them and you're trying to get them home to their families and you're helping them contract and you're helping them with packages and you're doing MEPS runs and you're making sure that they're getting training on Mondays and Fridays or whatever day of the week it is. Like when that starts happening, or your Marine's going to go on leave with his family. So while your Marine's on leave, you don't just leave his sector gapped. You're taking care of it. So when he gets back, he's not 9 days behind. And now when he gets back, he's like, oh shit, like my boss took care of me while I was gone. And because again, it's the team effort. And a lot of people, that's why I personally, I hate the term individual duty. I think it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Because you're putting Marines who've always been taught to have a battle buddy, Marines who've always been taught to never go anywhere alone. Now all of a sudden it's okay to be an individual. And to me, it's a horrible mentality because then it breeds people who only care about themselves.
You will never do anything. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. No, you will never do, and I agree with that, because you will never do any form of operation by yourself. You will never go into the offense by yourself. You will never dig into the defense by yourself. You will never go into a house by yourself. It doesn't exist. And that is the one thing that I genuinely feel not just holds individuals back, it holds teams back. Period. Like, you'll always see those stations anywhere you go. Those dudes fucking hate each other. You can walk in and you'd be like, that dude would sock that dude in literally if you gave him the green light. Yeah. That's a problem.
Yeah. And it is, man. It's and again, like it sucks because and that's I'm glad that we're talking about it. Because I think that's something that happens across MCRC is that there's Marines that are in offices that don't have this team mentality. And they don't have that like bro, like I had a phenomenal team. You know, I had a phenomenal team when I was in RSS Monmouth, as just even as a recruiter. Like, you know, like our boss, you know, if we needed something, he'd be like, "Hey, take the day, you got it." Or if we as an office needed something, or if I was on baby leave, or if, you know, hey, I'll take the MEPS run or whatever it was, like we would all in one unison, you know, help each other out, and it became a team,
Every
you know, and everyone was pulling their weight. And if you didn't write your two, you felt like a piece of shit. Like you felt like you were like, bro, my bad. And but like I feel like there's a huge dynamic that's missing. But it also stems from this the biggest piece is the station commander, right? Is the guy who's, you know, like, are you doing team building exercises? Are you, because the thing too is that like you get so busy in the monotony of recruiting.
you got to
And
stop.
yeah,
Got
see, yeah, and that's the thing is that people, and then what I've noticed is what's crazy to me is that when you have offices that aren't making mission and they're not making it, and they're like, "Well, we don't have time to do that. We don't have time to do that." Bro, right now you have the time, bro. Like you have the time you need. The reason why you're not making it is because your team isn't a team. And that's one of the many reasons. So this is the time where you got to build it together. You got to come together and you got to freaking fix whatever the hell is going on and make it better.
to be willing. Yes, 100%. You also have to be willing to take face shots. You have to be willing to take a face shot. You have to be willing to, because I mean, if you're going to be a station commander or an A gunner, dude, anything, man. You're a staff sergeant in the Marine Corps, or a gunny in the Marine Corps. You're a sergeant, dude. Even a sergeant in the Marine Corps, man. Like you're a non-commissioned officer. Like you were the backbone of the Marine Corps. You have to be willing to take a face shot to take care of your team, and that's facts. Like that's just, and I know like some people would disagree with me, or the hair on the back of their neck might stand up when I say that, but you have to be willing to take a face shot, because if you do not take advantage of reinforcing good things and showing what it's like to take a dub,
Bro, and that's and I'm glad that you say that because it's like what I'm trying what I'm saying to people, right? Is that if you have a Marine who isn't getting appointments and he starts setting appointments, that's a win that needs to be celebrated. Bro, dude, you had set an appointment. Bro, listen, bro. Dude, you grabbed somebody off the street, had a same day interview, committal. Hey, I'm calling the master guns. I'm calling the CO. I'm letting people know. I want them to know because I need to build you up. Like, and even if it's the smallest little thing, because those are the things that are going to help you get to the bigger things. And especially like there's a difference between being respected and being feared. If your recruiters fear you
the problem.
and they sit down to give you a morning in brief or they sit down to tell you something, they're not thinking clearly because they're afraid that you're going to lash out at them, that you're going to whatever it is. So now that Marine, even though he may know what he needs to do,
He's afraid to do
he's
it.
afraid to do it because he's like, oh shit, like I know that, and that's the thing about it, man, is that the last thing anybody needs on this duty is to be afraid and to fear anybody. Like you should know, like, hey, man, you know what? I messed this up. And like I get it, like the whole like, oh, I'm new thing. No, but like, bro, you're a damn staff sergeant of Marines, like, hey, or a sergeant of Marines, whatever you said, like you said, and you know, hey, I'm messing this up. Help me out. But like, if you're the type of person that your Marines fear to come to you, then that's not a that's like, you know, it's like living at home with a dad who freaking, you know, you fear and now you're battered and you don't want to come home and tell him that you have detention because so you're gonna hide it from him. You know what I mean?
You yeah, no, I mean you're definitely hitting the target, man. The one thing too that is really, in my opinion, with this job specifically, when you create that environment, because Marine Corps is based off decentralized leadership. It's based off small unit leaders taking action. It's based off of working on a task, a purpose, a method, and end state. That's all you need. You just need those four things. Is you have those things, you as a ground force commander, you as a sergeant, corporal, a staff CEO, you execute. Once you have those things, like, it's whatever you got to do to make it happen. And people don't understand that. And then when you create that environment, like, you will not do this unless I say this and X, Y, Z. You literally are taking, so think of it like this, like, this is this dude's like battle space. And now you've just done this. That dude's literally going to go no more left, no more right, because you were a jerk off and you literally just basically handicapped this dude. That's a problem. You can't do that. You know what I mean?
Bro, and that's the thing about it, right? Is that, like, again, like, it's a tough thing because, like, you tell Marines, hey, this is an individual duty. And then when they start doing things the way that they think it's going to work, and then you're like, no, you won't do that unless I told you to do that. No, you won't. And now they're like, okay, well, what can I do? And it becomes, but you know, at the end of the day, man, it is definitely something that, again, you grow from. And I think that's the thing that sucks about recruiting duty, is that, like, even though we can sit here and say that, hey, there's adjustment periods, these are things you're going to learn as you go around, nobody gives a shit. Like, nope, I need my contracts. I don't care that you just got out here. I don't care that you haven't learned about that. Figure it out. Figure it out. Like, you need to make it happen. Hey, you're in this fighting hole. You know, you need to freaking stack your bodies. You need to do what it is you got to do.
Yeah.
And no one cares about what bad day you're having or whatever it is.
I agree, but I disagree.
Tell me more.
Yeah, 100%. That is, and this is not you or anybody in general. If that is the mentality and the mindset, it's JV. And the reason why I say that is this: we understand you're a new dude, you just get here, your RSS isn't a knife, because it happened to me too. Like, it happens to everybody. Everyone gets that whole story, like, oh, I just came on the duty, and my boss basically just told me, you know, figure it out. And, you know, that's just kind of the mentality. And that's where we screw up. Because here's the thing that a lot of people also don't understand, right? The 3-6 and the 9-month eval and the PAR eval, those 4 key checkpoints, that's the molding period. You set that standard right then and there. This is what right looks like. This is what happens. You walk them through. You're walking the dog. You know what I mean? You got to walk the dog just like you would for an order. You walk the dog, man. You do that in that 3-6-9. That eliminates some of the stuff we've already talked about to this point. That eliminates the inability to think critically. That eliminates the ability to be that armchair staff associate and even a recruiter that's afraid to come to their station commander. Because when you start building good habits from the minute that dude walks into an RSS, because, like, I mean, you mean this is your second tour, dog. When you walked into an RSS, there was that one recruiter that looked at you and basically told you, huh, good luck. Right? I mean, we all have been there. Like, I was the same way. I wanted to be in that dude's boss 6 months. Weird. It's kind of weird how it works, right? That's the biggest thing, man, is that you have to be able to take advantage of the minute that dude walks in the door. When that new guy or gal gets there, set the fucking standard, dog.
Dude,
if you do that, though, and do it the right way, and just like you even said it before, like, when you get aggressive, you give them the why. Give them why it's the right fucking way, man.
Yeah. You know, well, and I think that's a huge part of it. I think that's the biggest thing, and I've said this forever. I think a lot of Marines don't get due the justice that they're deserved. I think a lot of Marines don't get quality 3-6-9s. And the problem is that not only do they not get a good quality 3-6-9, they don't say anything about it. And that's the only thing that, like, I'm like, bro, anywhere else in the Marine Corps, if you did not get the adequate training, you'd say something. Like, if you didn't sign, I said this to someone the other day, I was like, bro, if you went to supply and supply handed you an IMR card, and on that IMR card, like, you on the floor, you going through your supply inventory, and on the IMR card, it said Kevlar, sappy plates, and a carrier. And you look at the ground and there's no sappy plates, there's no carrier, and there's no helmet. Are you going to sign for that? No. You're going to say, hey, supply, whoever you are, chief or whatever, clerk, hey, man, these 3 things aren't on the ground. I'm not going to sign for this IMR card. But here on recruiting duty, Marines will gladly sign for training they never received, and they will gladly, and then once it comes time and they're hurting and they're not doing what they need to do and they're substandard, they're below, right? And no, listen, I'm not saying this is the station commander. I'm not saying this is a 12. I'm not saying this is anybody. This is everybody. It's a collective fault because Marines aren't ballsy enough to just say, hey, I'm struggling in this area and I'm not getting the training that I need and I need help. Because sometimes you just don't know. Like you can't. Sometimes you'll be a station commander and you'll exhaust all training and you'll be like, bro, like what is it you don't get? And then the Marine just, said name Marine doesn't want to bring it up or whatever it is. So it's like it's across the board a difficult thing, but I do definitely feel that there's a lot of Marines who don't get the training that they need. And a lot of times it does stem from the station commander because we're so busy with what we think is busy and we don't want to take the time out to spend with this Marine in his training. And we don't want to show him what's right. So we, oh, we'll do it tomorrow. Oh, we'll do it Friday. And then unfortunately, these Marines don't get the training they need. And then they're behind the power curve. And we're just trying to hurry up and write, hurry up and write, hurry up and write. And it's like, bro, just calm down, slow down, show them what's right, and build a quality team, and things will be better.
This is the one place too where people get so hyper focused, and in a bad way, right? Because you can be hyper focused on something and reinforce it and build it up. Sometimes you have to. But this is the one place, and we can do this, and I've done it. I know you probably have.
Yeah.
And we've all been like, there's only two things that matter in this realm, and that's contracting and that's shipping. That's the two that matter. And that is one of the biggest, I think, killers sometimes. Because we all have a mission. Like we got it, right? We all know that. But the one thing that really, I think a lot of people fail to realize, whether it's lack of, experience, maturity, knowledge, whatever the case may be, you really got to take a step back. You have 24 hours in a day. You have 22 days in a month to figure it out, 25, depending on the month, right? We'll say 28. You taking 1 hour with the dude won't kill you. It's not going to not make the mission.
Yeah.
It's not going to not make sure your shipper's tight.
Yeah.
It's not. And I think collectively, again, nobody specific, but I'll admit, like I'll do this on man. Like I definitely have done it before. And even now, like, growing up, spending more time out here, getting older, I've noticed that if I take that hour, that 2 hours, and I address it right then and there, because I'm going to lose it.
Yes.
Dude,
You're going to, I'll come back to it. No, you're not. You're not going to come back to it.
Will not fucking come back to it because you are going to get fucking pounded in the next 33. Another fire that you have to deal with.
Yep.
That shit's gone.
Yeah.
Just fix it right then and there. Right then and there. And then if you got to go back to it later, fucking go back to it later, man. You know what I mean? But
well, no, and I like that you addressed that because and again, this goes to the positive mental attitude again as well. Because if a Marine, if you're in an office and whether you're a recruiter, you're a station commander, whatever the case may be, if you visibly see a Marine who's making a discrepancy, and that this is not the right thing to do, or he's messing up on a phone call, or whatever the case may be, if you don't take that moment to stop right there and correct the deficiency. Now, and you say to yourself or to that Marine, oh, well, you know what? Hey, tonight we're going to talk about this in the debrief. Well, now that Marine, number one, you're going to forget. He's going to forget. It's not going to have the same value added because it's not happening right now. But then on top of that, that Marine is going to spend the rest of the day making that same mistake. And now what is he doing? It's repetition. So now this thing that's a mistake that we haven't addressed is now to him normalcy. And now we have to break him out of this habit because we're probably not going to talk about it today. We're probably not going to talk about it tomorrow. And then finally, when we realize that, it's like, dude, this guy's been doing this for days. And it's like, and that's the thing is that like and again, we're all a victim of it. We all do it to ourselves. Even with spouses or children or whatever it is, it's like, oh, I'll deal with it later. But the reality of it is that there's no better time than the present.
Yeah.
because you can get it off your, whether it's whatever it is, be able to address it. And even if it's like, we're gonna be 10 minutes late for a conference call or whatever the case may be, let somebody know, like, hey, listen, I was doing training. Like, no one's ever going to bug the fuck out on you if you're telling them the reason why this time hack wasn't met is because you were conducting training with your Marine.
Yeah.
Like,
And
no one's ever gonna be like, oh, you dirtbag.
no, they'll probably fuck or whatever, man. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you're an effective communicator,
Yeah.
just, and I think that's where, a lot of people sometimes miss the mark is just communicating, communicating laterally, communicating up and down the chain, communicating as a team, because like we've all been there before, man. Like, I've seen dudes that I've worked with in the past, and I've even been that dude. Like, I'm not perfect. Like, nobody fucking is. I was doing wrong stuff and I was doing business the wrong way, in a sense of like, not in like a morally wrong way, but like I could definitely be doing this in a more proficient way that's less painful. And when somebody like takes the time for me, like one of my mentors out here straight up was like, hey man, like if you do this way, like this is going to make your life a little bit better and it's going to give you more time and space. I'm like, let's fucking do that. That's smart. You know what I mean? And just taking the approach to like just correcting things and making things a little bit easier to get people home to their family. Like, that's the end of the day, man. That's the name of this game. And I think a lot of people get that.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of people forget that. A lot of people, and it's just like, and kind of closing with this, but that's the biggest thing is if you give Marines time with their family and you give Marines time back, they're going to be appreciative of it. Like, and they're going to also understand, like, okay, like when I was in Atlantic City, when I first got out there, I told the Marines, hey, if you write me 4 contracts, I'll call the CEO right now and I'll get you a week off. The Marine was like, so I got on the phone with the CEO and I called him. I was like, hey, sir, if so and so writes 4 contracts with this week, will you give them a week off? He was like, guaranteed. He's like, put the leave in right now. So literally, the Marine went, found 4 contracts, wrote 4 contracts that same week. The CEO, boom, same day, freaking like that week, gave him the leave. And that's, I was just like, bro, if you, and again, now mind you, it's not all about contracts, but if you show the Marine
Honestly,
that an honest day work is worth it, and that you're actually you're not going to keep moving the goalpost, and you're not going to keep doing this, and you're like, hey, listen, like, I know that you busted your ass today. Go home and be with your family. Like, and especially like I think a huge thing, and this is me being back immediately. I think a lot of the things that people also forget is that, like, I had a Marine say this to me the other day like, so on Instagram. But the Marine was like, yo, I felt like he was just reached out to me and he was like, yo, you know how much I felt like a piece of shit today? I was like, why? I was like, what happened? He was like, last night I went to bed. It was a Sunday night. And he goes, I went to bed. I put my son to bed, and my son said, can you have breakfast with me tomorrow? And I told him I had to tell him no, because he knows that, I'll already be at work by the time he's awake. And in my mind, I'm like, bro, like, do you understand if a station commander just said, hey, yo, stay at home 1 morning or 2 mornings and come in at 10 to have breakfast with your kids? Do you understand the magnitude that that would have on that wife, on those kids, on that family, on that Marine? Bro,
yeah,
that Marine would just be like, "Wait,
Flab-
what?"
yeah, they'd be flabbergasted. That seat, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. But I'm a single dude. I have no wife, no kids. Both offices that I've been in, everybody's been married. I've been the only dude I have nothing, and not in a bad way. Just I ain't got time for that. I got other stuff to do. But, but the big thing about that, man, and this was something that I learned. You take care of those married dudes or those dudes with kids, you force them to put in leave over Father's Day weekend. You force them to fucking go do something for Mother's Day. Not like force them in a negative way, but
Yeah.
if you show them that that shit is a priority, it's gonna come back. It's going to pay you off, and you won't lose credibility. Just a thought.
Bro. It's dude. When I had my first son, I came in. It was the last day I was checking in off leave. I introduced my son to Massar Diaz, the current OPSO, and jokingly, I said to Massar Diaz, I was like, "Yo, it'd be real nice if y'all just gave me like an extra week." And he looked over at the OPSO, and the OPSO was like, "Yeah, I could do that." So the OPSO just checked me in and then checked me out on an extra week of leave. Didn't tell the CO nothing. And as I was leaving, I was like, "Oh, hey, sir." Da, da, da. He's like, "Oh, what are you doing, sir?" I was like, "Oh, I was just running in." He's like, "Oh, you checking in?" I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm checking out too." He was like, "Wait, what?" And but long story short, bro, I came back and I killed it that month. And I had I think I had like 3 weeks off with my family. I was still writing contracts from home. But my wife was so
Yeah,
appreciative
Eve,
of that time.
you know what I mean? You bring like a brand new baby into the family. Your wife, I mean, I don't know, like, but like most people, that's a pretty concrete experience for
Yeah.
most, you
Yeah.
know, and it kicks their ass too. And you're the main point you're really the centerpiece in your family. You know, you're the Marine, you're the guy on recruiting duty on the deck. You have a family at home. Like, you have a lot of lines of communication, and a lot of lines of responsibility. And sometimes that's the one thing that a lot of people do neglect is the family piece.
Mhm.
Me too.
It's huge. It's
Yeah,
huge, man.
like taking a weekend, taking a knee, taking time for you to recover and rejuvenate, because you're gonna get your ass kicked out here. It's natural. Like,
Yeah.
once you accept that, things get easier.
Mhm.
But taking that knee to really, with whether it's taking your wife and your kids out to eat, going to Disney World, doing whatever marriage people fucking do and shit like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you do that, it makes this place a little better.
Amen. All right. Well, hey, man, I think that's a perfect note to end it on, man. I appreciate you hopping on with us, man. I think it was a great time of conversation. Great things to come from this. Listen, if you're anybody who's just listening to this, you're on recruiting duty, and you need to reach out to anybody, feel free to reach out to us. And listen, no one at the end of the day, like, there's no stupid question, nothing like that. Like, this is a hard, demanding duty. And like we were talking about shared suffering. So you're not alone dealing with this duty. And just reach out to somebody. But hey, man, I appreciate you, Ryan, for hopping on with us, and I'll talk to you soon, brother.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.